Hi, David Chomet with Chomet Solutions with another video about how you can improve your business. Today we're going to talk about 5 questions you need to ask yourself before starting a business. You're about to start your small business. You've got this great idea. You know what you want to do. You know how to bring it to market. You might even have a customer or two. But what sort of things are you not thinking about? So what are the 5 questions that you need to be asking yourself before you start any business? Question 1, what's the form of business that you need? Now, there are several different types of businesses, and generally that is driven by what state you're in. None of this is legal advice. The best thing to do is to consult your tax and legal specialists, because those two professionals will be able to tell you what sort of information that you need, what you need to be thinking about, and what the exact criteria are. But this is a decision that you need to make as a conscious choice, because in a lot of ways you can't get out of it once you've made that decision. There are generally a couple of different ways that you can organize your business. You can set it up as a corporation, and there are a couple of different types of corporations. You can set it up as a C Corp, as an S Corp, and then there's a hybrid kind called an LLC, Limited Liability Corporation or Limited Liability Company, depending on what state you're in. There are also partnerships. You can have a limited partnership or a general partnership. Again, there are very different rules that apply to those, and they mainly revolve around liability. You as an owner, what you can be held responsible for. You can also go into business as a sole proprietor. And if you do that, you've really done nothing to shield yourself from liability. And liability is something that you really need to be thinking about. The other main consideration with regard to how you form your business is how you're going to get out. And one thing that I talk to people about all the time is, do you have an exit strategy? How are you going to get out of the business? But I'm going to talk about that in another video. The bottom line is, depending on how you structure the business, it can be easier or harder for you to sell or transfer the business later on, depending on who you want to transfer it to and under what circumstances. Again, those are questions that you should be asking your lawyer or asking your accountant about how to best handle. Question 2, what kind of specialists do you need and when will you need them? But generally speaking, the people who you need are a lawyer, a banker, a tax advisor, an insurance agent, an accountant, and a project manager to help you put it all together. Now, do you need all of those people on day one? No, of course not. You don't. But you need to start looking for them and start thinking about them. And remember, it's not a step function. It's not a case that you have them or don't have them. In many cases, most of these professionals can be retained at a much lower level where you're not paying for a whole lot of advice, but you're paying for enough advice to do the right thing. One of the bigger mistakes that I see people making in business is trying to go it alone. I often say that, doctors are some of the smartest people I know, but they don't know how to run a shopping center. Just because you're smart in one area doesn't mean you're smart in all of the areas that you need to be smart in to run your business well. That's why you surround yourself with people who know what they're doing. Question number 3. What kind of technology do I need and how do I get it? The answer to this might surprise you a little bit. It's free technology. You should avoid spending a lot of money on technological solutions to whatever you're doing until the business, the volume, the activity justifies it. You can get a Google Voice number for free, which allows you to have a separate business line. There are numerous ways which you can get a word processing program, a spreadsheet program, a bunch of different programs that are all available to you. I'll include a link in the description to a few of them. Ways that you can schedule meetings, do all kinds of things without incurring a significant cost. Is there another piece of technology that you find particularly useful? I'd love to hear about it, so please comment below. So with every choice you can make that will save you money on those products, that will save you money on the technology that you use, it's more money that you can invest in your business, the more money that you can invest in other things, paying bills, until you're waiting for your business to gain enough momentum where it's actually paying off for you. Question 4, when can I quit my job? That's a question that every small business person really wants to know. particularly if you're starting it as a side business and you're already working somewhere else? The answer is you should have about 6 months. 6 months of cash ready, set aside, so that once you leave your job, there's your 9 to 5, you aren't stressed out immediately. Now, some things you should do before you leave your job. While you still have a salary, you should go get a line of credit at your bank. You should be talking to your banker about ways to access capital, because it is very, very hard for the small business person to access capital in an easy way. Now, there are small business loans and there are other organizations that are into microfunding, but the truth of the matter is they much prefer to lend money to somebody who has a steady paycheck. So if you've got a job where you're making $60,000, $70,000 a year, you can go out and get a line of credit based upon that, and guess what? You don't have to use the line of credit, but you'll have it if you need it. Question 5, where can I find some help? Eventually, if you're successful in your business, you're going to find that you can't do it alone. In fact, if you listen to question 2, you've already been assembling the people who you need to make things work. The challenge with that is knowing when to bring them on board, and particularly when to increase the number of employees in your company. The answer is, it depends. Did you like that? It's something that you should look at with your accountant, talk about it with your lawyer, because there's 100 different ways to hire people. And when it comes time to looking for someone to help you, look no further than sites like Upwork, Fiverr. There are a lot of different ways to bring people on board. And in fact, I have created other videos, and in fact, some subsequent videos are going to touch upon exactly that topic, how you bring the right people on board. So those are my 5 questions. What did I forget? I'm sure that there's a question that you have been asking yourself. Leave it below. I'd love to hear it and engage with it in conversation. Thank you for listening to this content. I hope that it's given you some ideas and some things to think about as you're trying to figure out what questions you should be asking yourself as a small business person.